was a Friday. We were wrapping up a slow night on highway patrol when the call came in. Deer Patrol, Buck speaking. Slow down, Tom, slow down. What's the problem? What? You hit a deer and Southern Kentucky Collision is going to give you a free turkey? Well, that sounds like a great idea. I'm sorry you don't agree, but Southern Kentucky Collision knows that deer do a ton of damage to vehicles. Kentucky's ranked 4th in the country in number of deer collisions this time of year. A free turkey when you bring your vehicle to Southern Kentucky Collision for repair of the deer damage is a great way to turn your luck around. Well, not your luck around. Southern Kentucky's Collision's respected work is well documented. So if you hit a deer, don't be a turkey. Get a turkey. Bring your vehicle to Southern Kentucky Collision. The 8th annual Hit a Deer, Get a Turkey event at Southern Kentucky Collision, Industrial Drive, Glasgow. No real deer or turkeys were harmed in the making of this commercial.
Well, it's great to have another interview today here with Mr. Brad Groce. We're going to be talking about your run for magistrate this time here in Barren County. Of course, a lot of folks know that you were on the Glasgow City Council for a number of years, but first, how are you today?
I'm fine, Brennan.
Appreciate
you having me.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit about your candidacy now for the fiscal court. Again, mentioning that you were on the City Council of Glasgow for several years and have a lot of experience in government. What has inspired you to try out for the fiscal court now, if you will?
Well, you know, I had the privilege and honor of serving 16 years on the City Council. And I stepped down in 2020 to dedicate more time to my business. And then when Billy Houchins, the longtime serving magistrate, decided not to run, he told me he wasn't going to run. I considered it, and then I had a couple of individuals suggest to me that I should run for it. So I kind of thought maybe my experience on the City Council, I mean, let's just face it, there's going to be at least 5, maybe 6 new magistrates come on. Depending on the outcome of the judge's race, we could have a new judge. I said, and I think I could probably hit the ground running because I have a pretty good idea of all the working elements after serving on the council. And as far as a budget, I'm probably the only one out of all of them running that's even have seen a budget that big. So,
and there are a lot of misconceptions, I think, of candidates to any degree going into office. And so it is obviously a benefit that you have that experience there. Now, one of the things that a lot of folks might be interested in is District 7 particularly, which is the district you're running in. District 7 is mostly a city district there. And a lot of folks think about this division of county government, city government, but obviously city fits right into the county. So what do you anticipate perhaps being a difference from your time on the council to the fiscal court? What are some things, maybe new challenges that you're eager to learn about?
Well, you know, a lot of people, as far as magistrates, most people think of roads, okay? Now, District 7 is majority in the city limits of Glasgow, which the city road department takes care of the majority of those roads, or the state does. Now, there will be some issues with roads that I really didn't have that when I was on the council. That's really the only, you know, as far as, like I said a while ago, it's still going to be a big budget.
Right.
It's still going to be you know, I realize it's a little different because, you know, with the magistrates and the budget there, you've got your, you know, your county clerk, your sheriff, the jail. There's a lot of different budgets that fall within the umbrella of the county budget. So I don't foresee a lot of difference between the two. I mean,
sure, it's
just county government versus city government, and I really think, I guess I'm going off a little here, but I think the biggest thing that we have missed is that connection between the city and the county. Because let's just face it, whatever's good for Glasgow is good for Barren County. Whatever's good for Barren County is good for Glasgow. We can say the same thing about Park City and Cave City. Whatever's good for Cave City and Park City is good for Barren County. And I think sometimes we get too much this, you know, I'm the city, I'm the county, and we miss out on some opportunities that I think we could mesh together and work together. And I'm hoping that my time on the council, if I'm lucky enough to get elected, maybe I can bridge a little of that gap between the two. At least that's what I'm hoping.
It was a Friday. We were wrapping up a slow night on highway patrol when the call came in. Deer Patrol, Buck speaking. Slow down, Tom, slow down. What's the problem? What? You hit a deer and Southern Kentucky Collision is going to give you a free turkey? Well, that sounds like a great idea. I'm sorry you don't agree, but Southern Kentucky Collision knows that deer do a ton of damage to vehicles. Kentucky's ranked 4th in the country in number of deer collisions this time of year. A free turkey when you bring your vehicle to Southern Kentucky Collision for repair of the deer damage is a great way to turn your luck around. Well, not your luck around. Southern Kentucky's Collision's respected work is well documented. So if you hit a deer, don't be a turkey. Get a turkey. Bring your vehicle to Southern Kentucky Collision. The 8th annual Hit a Deer, Get a Turkey event at Southern Kentucky Collision, Industrial Drive, Glasgow. No real deer or turkeys were harmed in the making of this commercial.
Of course, having that experience on the city council, you know, a big part of what you just talked about there with working together. So moving on to the fiscal court, of course, everyone wants to see government working together. Do you believe as a magistrate you could help promote that togetherness, allow everyone to unify?
I would hope so. I think, like I said a while ago, with my experience on the council, I think I can bridge. I mean, I know most of the city council members. I mean, I know most of the magistrates. I mean, you know, and
right.
I know both judge candidates well. You know, the two mayor candidates, if whichever one, I know both of them well. So
that acquaintance will clearly help, is what you're saying.
That.
Sure. And you know, some key ideas or some key topics that folks are interested in for this next election. Of course, togetherness or political unity is a big deal. Something that you have been involved with on the council, I'm sure, is industrial recruitment, jobs, business. You're a businessman yourself. What is it, do you feel like, over the last few years has created this stagnant water in the area? Why hasn't there been this boom like folks have expected?
Of course, I know COVID. Everybody wants to throw the COVID out there. And COVID was a big part of it, okay?
Right.
But as far as industry, I know people, you know, jobs. And I've had it thrown up to me and said, well, you know, Bowling Green has this and Bowling Green has that. We're not Bowling Green. We're never going to be Bowling Green. We're a bedroom community to Bowling Green. And I always felt like that as long as the people, if they work in Bowling Green, but they bring their paycheck back to Barren County and they pay their taxes in Barren County, we still benefit from it, okay? As one industry thing that I would, and this is kind of, it's going towards the agricultural side of it, which, right. And it wouldn't even be involved in the city limits of Glasgow, because I think it would have to go in Park City or Case City. I would love to see a grain elevator, which I don't know if people realize how much grain leaves Barren County in our area traveling south to South Union and Owensboro, you know, to the grain elevators. And there's a lot of grain that comes as far away as Somerset and Russell County that flow right through Glasgow. And it needs to be in Case City or Park City where it would be on the main railhead. That's the only reason I said that. But again, like I said earlier, what's good for Case City and Park City would be good for Barren County as a whole, because, sure, you know, we're all one county. So
sure. If folks aren't familiar with you, perhaps they just moved to the area, have no idea who Brad Groce is, how would you describe your leadership style and qualities about you that are convincing to someone why they should vote for you for an office like magistrate?
Well, I feel like after being in business, you know, let me give you a little background on myself, okay? I've lived here all 59 years of my life. In fact, I live within 4 miles in this district of where I was raised at. So I'm pretty much in the same area. On the South Fork, Finney Road area is where I grew up at, and that's where I live at now. Went to college for a while. Went to work for R.R. Donnelly, worked there 17 years. So I have that industry background as far as working in a factory. Mm-hmm. And then I was lucky enough to go to work for Shelter Insurance, which I'm the local agent here. I'm in my 22nd year with them. Me and my brother and my dad, we have a small farm down on the Finney Southport Road area. We raise a few beef cattle. I've always felt like I could listen. And, you know, even in my business, as far as selling insurance, I have to do a lot of listening. And I feel like I'm easygoing, and I feel like I could, like I said earlier, I believe I could hit the ground running and not have to, I don't believe I'd have to have a learning curve like some of them will have to have because they've not been in this position before.
Sure. What do you think makes you more qualified of a candidate than your opponent this election?
I guess my experience. I mean, that's nothing against my opponent. I think a world of him. I like him tremendously. I do think my experience will help a lot.
Sure. Anything else that we didn't discuss today, or something you wanted to touch on that that maybe I didn't ask today?
Well, I've been happily married for 27 years. I have 3 kids. My oldest, Cheyenne, she teaches at Highland Elementary. Clay, my middle one, he's a financial advisor in Frankfurt. My youngest, Connor, she is a Western and a student. So, and my wife, Beth, I didn't even mention her name, but...
Well, it's great to have had you today to talk about these things, about going now toward the fiscal court, perhaps. Of course, I guess we'll see after November 8th. Mr. Brad Groce, today candidate for District 7 Magistrate on the Democratic side of things here this fall. Thank you for coming in today.
I appreciate you having me. I appreciate everybody's support.